Welcome back. In the past hour, we heard an update on the investigation underway in Canada right now after a Delta airplane crashed upside down on the runway at the Toronto Pearson International Airport. The question here, the big question, how did this happen? The 80 people on that plane survived and were evacuated onto the tarmac. Joining us right now, though, is reporter Meagan Fitzpatrick with the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. Meagan, thank you for joining us today. What did we learn from the press conference?
We got a few more details at the news conference today. I'll start with what we learned about the people who were on the plane in terms of the injuries that they sustained. The latest numbers we have now are that 21 people went to hospital. That's up from earlier today when we thought 18 people had been sent to hospital. So we learned 21 taken to local hospitals. 19 of them, though, have been released. 2 people remain in hospital. We don't have details about the nature of their injuries, but officials are saying that they are not life-threatening injuries. That's about the extent of what we know about the people that were injured. Yesterday, we had been told that a child was among those who had been brought to hospital, airlifted to a pediatric hospital in downtown Toronto. Officials telling us today they're not sure if if the 2 people that are still in hospital, one of them is the child. In terms of the nature of the injuries, though, they were saying paramedics who arrived on the scene and were treating people at the scene. Some of the injuries involved head injuries, headaches, treating people for anxiety. As you might imagine, those passengers were in shock. Some of them experiencing back pain and sprains, and nausea and vomiting from the smell of the jet fuel. Now, in terms of the investigation, they said it is being led by the Transportation Safety Board of Canada. A number of their investigators are here on the scene, and the U.S. Federal Aviation Agency as well is involved in the investigation, as well as Delta Airlines. This was an Endeavour Airlines flight, a subsidiary of Delta. Their staff are here at Pearson today as part of the investigation, and the plane was manufactured by Mitsubishi, so we were told that their company representatives are here as well. The plane is still on the tarmac, and we learned at this news conference that it is expected to stay there for probably another 2 days while the investigators take a look at it and examine it. And once they are done that portion of their investigation, it'll be cleared off the runway. And then Pearson officials here need to make sure that the runway is safe to use again. So it remains closed, and that is having a severe impact, as you might imagine, on air travel here at Pearson. A number of flights delayed and canceled because of that runway closure, and that adds to a number of flights that were canceled yesterday in the wake of the crash. The whole airport here was shut down for several hours. All the runways were closed. Now, some of them did reopen a few hours later, but as I mentioned, that longest runway here at Pearson is closed, and that adds to a number of flights that had already been canceled and delayed over the weekend because of weather conditions here in Toronto. We got a huge snowstorm, and so there was already a ripple effect of that. So operations are not going smoothly here at Pearson today, but they did say that the conditions were clear on Monday, so they were in recovery mode from the weekend when this crash happened around 2:15 in the afternoon.
Wow, that's very good perspective there. Good to know, Meagan. And I wanted to ask about that because you talk about the weather. You look at the video of when this crash happened, and you can clearly see there was snow on the ground. It was a windy day. Did officials mention anything about weather conditions during the news conference today?
That is one of the top questions, just because of the weather we have been experiencing in Toronto. On Monday, it was very windy in the city. And like I mentioned, we had gotten a lot of snow over the weekend, so there was snow blowing everywhere. It was a pretty tough day on Monday. Last night, when officials spoke to reporters, a fire chief for the airport, he said that the runway was clear and there were no crosswind conditions, which kind of raised some eyebrows because of how windy it had been throughout the day. Now, today, when officials were asked to clarify and say anything about the possible cause of the crash, they wouldn't provide any details. They said they don't want to speculate, so they wouldn't say anything else about the condition of the runway or the weather, what role it may have played, because they say it is an active investigation. So we didn't learn much more in terms of any kind of working theory in terms of why this plane crashed the way it did.
Okay, Meagan Fitzpatrick from the Toronto Pearson International Airport, thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate it.